A Stadium approved clear bag for under $1. This is made out of a clear shower liner that I got at a local 99-cent store. Of course, it was a little more than 99 cents, but the important part is out of that one shower curtain liner, I can make 8 of these clear bags to take to the stadium, to take to a concert, or if you just want to stuff it with fabric and carry it around. Here's how you do it. The shower curtain I cut into one piece of 15 inches by 30 inches. That's going to be the entire size of the bag. A finished stadium bag can only measure 12 by 12 by 6 inches deep. So this is going to do it. 15 inches by 30 inches. Now also we have a decorative edge we're going to put across the top of the bag. So for this I just used a jelly roll strip. I cut 2 lengths, 16 inches each, and I just folded it over. I've just pressed this in half. Lastly are the handles for our bag. Took a jelly roll strip. I cut it in 2. The jelly roll strip was double this, so I cut it in 2. I folded this into thirds, as you can see here. I'm going to finish folding this into thirds. I'm going to press it, and I do a zigzag stitch all down the center. So those will be our handles. They'll be ready for us when we need them. Okay, now we're going to do our decorative edge. So I'm going to start at the area closest to me. I'm going to open this up, place the shower curtain inside. I'm going to pin this. Now I know people say don't pin it, it's plastic, you're going to poke a hole in it, but I'm not going to carry loose liquids in it, so it's not that big a deal. Besides, I tried those plastic clips. Let me tell you, those plastic clips on the shower curtain, they are slippery. They don't hold it well enough. I got a better result by pinning it. And so that's what I'm going to do. And make sure that plastic stays in there all the way to the end. That's going to be one end, and do the same thing to the other end. Because remember, these are the top edges of our finished bag. Let's put the shower curtain in there. I'm going to pin this as well. Now notice I cut this 16 inches wide, this is 15, so we're going to have a little overhang on both, and that's okay. I'm going to do a nice zigzag stitch down each of these ends, and then we'll continue. Okay, so I've sewn my decorative edge onto both ends of this, so these will be the tops of the bags. Now at this point, this little extra I have, take some pinking shears and just snip those off. We've already got a zigzag edge on this anyhow, so I don't mind a little extra. Do this on all 4. Then we're going to be ready to measure for our handle. Right now, the front and the back, they're identical. There is no front or back right now, but we're going to change that. Here's our first handle. I want to measure in from the outside edge. I want to measure in 5 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to use my ruler. And at the 5-inch mark, I know I'm taking a pen, but this is going to be covered up. I'm making a little marking there. And from the other side in 5 inches again, I'm making a little mark there. That's just to let me know where to place this handle. My handle, first of all, I'm going to fold the edge in about 1.5 inches. Now, it's really great. I'm working on this mat and I'm working on something clear. So I can see 1.5 inches is right there. I can see through, and that's great. I'm folding that in. I'm going to turn this over. Now my first little 5-inch mark, I'm going to lay this on top of it. And look, I want my edge to line up with the edge of the decorative edging. I'm just going to put it right there, and I'm going to pin this in place. Follow this handle around, and we want it to end up on this side. We want to make sure this doesn't get twisted. This is the correct direction for it. So again, I'm going to fold this guy in 1.5 inches. Here's my other 5-inch mark. So I'm going to put it over that, and I'm going to make sure that my edge matches up with this edge. Let's put a pin in that. Now, we've just decided that this is the outside of our bag because we want to see these. We're going to sew a square all around this, a nice big rectangle all the way to the end, over and around here. Rectangle here, all around there. I'm going to turn this to the other end. I'm going to do the exact same thing to this side with our other handle. And I'm going to go sew this. This is my right side of the fabric now. This is my right side of the fabric. Put our right sides together. Match up the top here. I'm going to pin this up, and I'm going to take this over to stitch it. So we have sewn down both of these edges. We've got a nice seam line. Now is the fun part. This is where the magic happens. We're going to cut a square out of each of these 2 corners. It's going to be 2.5 inches wide and 2.5 inches tall. I am going to carefully cut that out. I know it looks strange to do this, but this is how we get the corners of the bag. 2.5 inches in, 2.5 inches down. And I'm going to pull that out. So the most important part about making a bag, before we turn this out, we have to match up this seam with this quarter. Because this is clear, I'm going to make a little mark with the Sharpie on this bottom corner on both ends here because it'll help me match these up. So remember, this corner has to meet this corner. How do we do that? We open the bag gently. My black dot is right here. There's my other seam. I'm going to match those up. Now look, they're not going to match up perfectly at the end because you're not going to have a good straight line. I move it down just a little bit because the rest of my plastic, I'm going to stitch a line, a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way across. So first, to help me, I'm just going to pin this little bit just to kind of hold it in place. Okay. So I'm going to try to see if you can see this a little better. My black dot I matched to this other corner, and I left like a 1/2 inch. I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way across from here to here. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other quarter of the bag. I'm going to open this up, and again, look, match my black dot to the seam line. I'm going to pin that, and I am going to go sew that. And that's the last step of this process. Here's my first corner. I'm going to run a seam along this whole edge. Might be hard to see because this is clear, but I'm also going to back stitch on this because we will keep this seam. See? There is that seam. We have a little peak there, and that's okay. I'm going to do the same on this side. And there's that seam. When we turn this bag right side out, we can then, see, there's our 2 corners there. And on the other side are our 2 corners there. And here's the final product. See, it's perfect for carrying around your fabric or going to a Taylor Swift concert.